All right, so start of the offseason, April 11th. We've all been looking forward to this day. John Harris alongside the HBC head ball coach of the Houston Texans, Lovie Smith. Coach, did it feel like the first day of school bringing you guys back?
Yes, it did. I guess it had a little Christmas feel to it, too.
Yeah.
You know, John, gifts underneath the Christmas tree, and just really excited about seeing the players. Of course, there's some communication that goes on throughout, but to have our first meeting together, see their faces and excitement, seeing them. They haven't seen each other for a while, so just getting to, starting those relationships again, it's pretty special. We have a great group of men, so it's good to get that first meeting under our belt.
Coach, how much meeting time do you get with them, and how much can you talk ball with them? How much is just getting to know them? How much is that part of it right now?
Well, there's 3 different phases, I guess you could say, to the all-season program. And for the first 2 weeks, John, is be phase 1 of the all-season program. We can have the guys in our building 4 days a week, maximum of 4 hours per day. And in that amount of time, the first 2 weeks, 2 of the hours would be strength and conditioning, and the other 2 hours would be meeting. So there's a lot of video to go over from last year, so it's a lot we can get done that way.
I've thought about this a lot, Coach, because you talked about your scheme and what you've done and what you've been comfortable with over the years. During the offseason, you're watching tape and you're watching something, you're like, hey, I kind of like what they're doing. Kind of jot it down on a napkin. How do you incorporate some of the new things that you see some teams do, whether it's all the way down the high school level, up to college level, or some teams around the league? How do you kind of incorporate that into a scheme that has become so ingrained in what you've done the last couple of decades?
Well, I think a lot of it goes on while you're going through a season too.
Yeah.
You're watching a lot of video of different teams and seeing how offenses are attacking certain defense and things like that. So I think it starts then. But yeah, there has been an awful lot going on. You evaluate even more doing this off season, and then you keep your core, and our core has been a certain way for a long period of time, but you just try to add a few little tweaks to it every year. And that's just a base part of the all season as far as evaluating what you do, all 3 phases, special team, offense, and, of course, defense.
Even though it's the first year for you as head coach, you obviously were here as a defensive coordinator. As the defensive guys are coming in for a meeting, how much easier is it to be able to look them and go, hey, remember we did this against Tennessee, or, hey, this is how we do this, and the guys already – sort of know, hey, I know what to expect from coach. I know what to expect from the scheme. I see that. It's not complete and total Greek to me when they see it. How important is that for them as they sit in there with the meetings with you and your staff?
I think it's very important. I think you can look at it that way, John, with all 3 phases. Of course, special team-wise, Frank Ross still coordinating our special team. Pep Hamilton, even though he was in a different position last year, was, it's our offense still that we're running for the most part. And he was a big part of that. So the transition has been pretty good for them too, and of course defensively, it helps an awful lot. So we feel like we're a couple of steps ahead. Last year too, we had COVID, so we weren't meeting in person. Just to be able to meet in person is kind of putting you a lot further ahead.
How's your frequent flyer account? Is it growing? The miles are going up and up and up. How has that been this draft season to get out there? See prospects up close and personal?
It's a must, and I love doing it.
Yeah.
First off, a few things. I got a chance to watch spring practice, padded practices, real football being played. But to go to their environment, I'm talking about the draftable seniors, juniors, and see them, get as much information as you can, has been pretty neat. There are a lot of great programs around. And guys have really worked out well. And we've gotten a lot of information to be able to make some good decisions. We have a little bit of draft capital going into this draft, and to use it wisely, we'll be able to make a lot of good decisions.
How's that process been with Nick as you guys go through? Because during the season, you guys are locked in on our opponent is the Washington Commanders. We are locked in on the Commanders. I don't really care what Ohio State is doing at this point, but obviously that's what Nick's group, the scouts, are doing. They're focused on what those college players are doing. And the coaches get involved, obviously, when their season's over. How's that process been for you and Nick to kind of merge the scouts and the coaches together to be cohesive in that draft approach?
It's gone well, and as you mentioned, I mean, we're not watching, except for being a casual fan.
Sure.
We haven't had a chance to watch a lot of the guys as they played in college, but that process started right away. You know, for me, getting the staff in place, and then it was a little bit of free agency, but everything has been towards the college guys since then. You mentioned our personnel department. They do an excellent job.
Yeah.
They caught us up, started with the combine a little
Sure.
bit, and we've been just it's been rapid fire since then. And as I mentioned earlier, we've had a chance to see workouts can tell you so much more, too. We've even had a chance to go through our local workouts.
Yeah.
So we've gotten most of the major things done. We continue to bring guys in for the pre-draft visits,
Yep.
and that has really been good. There's one thing, you go to the workout, everybody's trying to grab guys and get their questions, but when you bring them on, to your facility, we have them all day, and you're able to find out a lot more.
Yeah, no doubt. And you've been to a number of pro days. You've seen a number of those as you've gone. But you were at Illinois before that where there were a lot of pro days that were going on. You got a chance to see it. But how much has that process changed, Coach, if at all, that pro day process after having gone through COVID and all that kind of stuff? Has it changed much over the years that you've been doing it and going to pro days as a head coach?
Well, a few years back, that's when it really started to change, where it became more of a production.
Yeah.
More of a, spotlight on it. And that's not all bad. I mean, the colleges put an awful lot into that day of showcasing their facility, how they do things, and just seeing their products they put on the football field. So it has changed quite a bit, but eventually you get down to a lot of the same drills that are being run. We've tweaked the drills a little bit that we do, but for the most part, we know what we want to see by position from the guys, and that hasn't changed a lot.
One of the things you mentioned, and I think our fans don't know a lot about it because they know about the pro days, they know about the combine, and they know about on-campus workouts, but the local workout, that's a really important one. I know a few years ago we had a running back that had gone through that local workout and impressed a little bit, and that was a guy that we ended up drafting. What is that local workout all about? Our fans may not know a lot about that. What can you inform them about on that process?
Well, it's exactly, how we described it. It's a local workout of, colleges that are close to our, Houston Texan football team.
Yeah.
So surrounding guys get a chance to come for one day, and we get a chance to meet with them and, of course, take them and work them out here at our facility, which we were able to hold this past Friday. And, again, just more hands-on to get one final look, of course, at the guys that – and a lot of them that know everything about us. When you're local, of course, you know all about our football team and find a lot more out that way. Yeah.
Guys that were rookies last year, Davis, Nico, Brev, those guys, from year one to year two, the expectations, I would imagine, don't go through the roof. I mean, we're pretty realistic about the expectations. But what are your expectations for those guys going from a rookie coming in here clean, knowing nothing about the NFL for the most part, to you're now coming back in here for year two? Our expectations have definitely changed. What are your thoughts about going from year one to year two for those guys?
Well, I think you mentioned the rookies last year, but for our football team, we should see improvement. We're a lot further along, as we talked about earlier, with our system. But for young players, you're right. There's a lot of things going on when you're a rookie.
Yeah.
Just trying to figure out how to, get around Houston.
Yeah.
And trying to find your place. Now when you know what you need to do, my time in NFL, I've seen from your first year to your second year, major improvements at all positions, and that's what we're expecting right now. These guys get a chance first. A lot of them have been around, working out on their own.
Yes.
But now to get a chance to go through our Offseason program, I'm talking about lifting, strength and conditioning, getting stronger, being able to really study the playbook a lot more. So you have time, really. So we should really see who these players are, even more so than we were able to this past season.
How about you? You talk about getting around Houston. You getting around Houston a little bit better, getting to know it a little bit more?
Yes, I am, and loving everything about it. I used to recruit the Houston area for a long time.
Yeah.
But now to get a chance to favorite eating spots
Yeah.
in H-Town. And just everything that goes along with being down here is pretty neat, where you have a little bit of time to do that also.
When you walk in, are you kind of treated like the king around town when you walk in? I mean, you are somewhat recognizable in this town.
I'm probably, I look a little different than probably other coaches that have been in my seat here, but not a whole lot of dark guys with gray beards, leading teams. But people know they're sports fans here.
Yes.
And they love sports, whether it's basketball, baseball, whatever, and, of course, football. So I think it's just really neat to listen to our fans. And they're excited. They're with us every step along the way. We've gotten a lot of advice on who we should pick, number 3, number 13, and what we should do at all the positions. And I love talking football, especially from them, and just can't wait to, get back in the stadium and see them.
So has Frank offered to cut your hair or your beard? Has he offered at some point to do it?
Yes, he has early on. Frank's pretty busy.
He is.
His reputation, again, as you go along, you get, your reputation become more and more, more visible out there, and that's definitely the case with him. But I have a routine that I go through. I have my own barber and all that.
Well, that's probably better. He's offered to do my hair, and I'm not all the way in yet on it, Coach. So I'm going to take your advice. I'm going to wait. I'm going to give him till through OTAs and minicamp, and then I might do it at that point. Coach, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Anytime at all, John.
So much.
Anytime at all, John.